Hey, what's going on? Keith from Trigger Happy. Going to take a look at a holster here tonight. A while back, I reviewed the Aliengear Tuck 3.0 and had a lot of great features, but after wearing it for a while, there was some pretty significant problems with it. And I had a few of those things that I mentioned in the initial review, one being that it wasn't super comfortable because there was some exposed metal and things on the backside up against your waist. And so unless you wore a t-shirt tucked in between the holster and your body, some of that could rub. The other thing that I noticed over time was that some of the hardware would start backing out. So you would then have to constantly be tightening up the shell, things like that. Well, I think Aliengear recognized those problems, and so they sent me the new Tuck 3.5 and said, hey, we think you're going to like some of the upgrades and improvements, so check them out, let us know what you think. Aliengear is pretty innovative in that, one, they have a holster for virtually any gun you can imagine. They even have a revolver inside the waistband holsters, which is awesome. And I'm probably going to look into getting one of those at some point because I do carry a revolver quite a bit of the time. Two is that once you buy a base, like here is a base I have for an outside the waistband holster, and the shell for this one is for an HK VP9. But this stuff is totally interchangeable, so I can take the shell off of this outside the waistband holster and put it on this new Tuck 3.5, and now I can carry my HK just like I'm going to carry this Springfield XDS. That is a really great thing because you're not buying multiple holsters for multiple guns. You can really just buy shells for each new firearm that you might purchase. That saves you money, and you kind of have that consistency from firearm to firearm and the feel of the carry. So that's the first thing that really works for me for the Aliengear stuff. Secondly, after wearing this for a while, I can tell you that they really addressed those issues with the hardware and with the comfort level. So for one, you'll notice that the leather is gone up against your skin, and it's been replaced with neoprene, which is super soft, wicks away moisture, and that's a really nice thing. You can see it's stitched here around the edges, so it's going to hold up for a long period of time. But you don't have that exposed hardware here on the back, which was a big problem with the last one, that, you know, when I was constantly having to tighten up these screws here on the shell, eventually they would kind of crush the nuts or the washers here on the inside to get it tight enough to hold. Well, then you've got the screw kind of exposed even out beyond the little grommet or whatever that kind of held it in place. So then that's even more exposed metal on your skin. They have taken care of that problem by covering everything up on the back. That is a huge plus to me. Number two, on the belt, retention system, you don't even have any hardware. These just kind of rotate down and then pop right off. Boy, that's really nice. So you can adjust your cant here. See, there's 3 on each side. And so it's basically just a insert and then turn 180. And, that's a really nice system right there. They've really solved that problem of having to constantly go to a toolkit in order to change things or tighten things up. There's no need for that. Will that plastic wear over time? Maybe, but I'm really not nearly as concerned as I was with the previous build on the Tuck 3.0. So that's really nice. In the kit, obviously, you get additional, these washers. I guess it would be what I would call them. So you can change how tight this shell is on and how tight it retains your gun. Now, straight from the factory, I think it retains my XDS perfectly. So it's quite tight. And again, I've only had this for a couple weeks and worn it for a couple weeks, so it's going to loosen up over time, but I don't think nearly what the older version would. So, retains it very well. There is no movement whatsoever, which is perfect. Because the two things you want in a holster is, one, comfort, and two, retention. There's really nothing else. I want my trigger guard covered, obviously, but I don't want, I don't need anything else. I need it to retain my firearm, and I need it to be comfortable enough to wear all day long. And I think they've solved that problem perfectly with the Tuck 3.0, or 3.5, I'm sorry. Also in the kit, you get different styles of belt clips. There's 4 altogether. This one, your belt basically goes through entirely here, if you can see. This one maybe for a little shallower, on the belt, so you can see it's shallower than what came on it originally. It also doesn't have this clip over it to retain it on the belt. Then there's a third style, which quite honestly, I'm not sure what this one does, but nevertheless, there you go. So 4 different styles of retention clips in the bag, all for $50. So again, $50 for the Tuck 3.5 here, and then I've already got additional shells for other firearms here that I can put right on there. And now I've got really 2 holsters already. Just by buying this additional base. So I think this is a really good value, and I think that if you're in the market for a new holster, and you may have had an Aliengear in the past like I have, and were maybe less than satisfied with it, I think you do yourself a favor by taking a look at this one, because the Tuck 3.5 has really, really solved all the problems that I had with the 3.0. So thanks again for watching. For $50, I think you're hard pressed to find anything better right now. Time will tell, obviously, how this breaks in, but again, I don't have anything exposed that's going to dig into me, and they've solved, the biggest problem of hardware problems and comfort. So really nothing else to say. I think they've hit a home run on this one, and taken user reviews and comments to heart, which is what you want from a company. And the other issue that people had in the past was shipping times. This thing arrived in like 2 weeks. That's perfect. So they've stepped their game up. So thanks again, Keith from Trigger Happy. There's a link below in the description if you want to order one of these things. I think it's well worth your time. So we'll see you next time. Thanks again.